Woohoo! Chan Lo.
Hi, how's it going? What have you been up to?
Like I had a madness day scheduled to start with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then with the stock just, you know, doing what it's doing, obviously that blows up other parts of my schedule. So it's been madness, my friend. It's been madness.
Yeah, I know. I was actually going to I know your day started. I saw your the Twitter post with George and yeah. How does it affect you as, the leader of the company, and how does the share price affect you? Is that something you could talk about or no?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm putting my laptop here on a Rosa
Mm-hmm.
to see if I can get a better
As the stand?
yeah. Yeah, on a Rosa shell. On a Rosa shell. So I'll show you what I got. I'm in the conference room of our Irvine facility.
Uh-huh.
So we keep a couple of and I think actually I wanted to turn my background off.
Oh, I think this is the first time someone would see without the background, huh?
Look at that, eh?
Yeah. I saw your video that you posted on Twitter where you showed us a bunch of the new shells coming in and stuff
The
like
one
that.
today, right? The one I just did today.
Yeah.
This is an Ava shell. I love the shells. I talk about the shells. I tweet the shells. The shells are where it all comes from. That's core part of our design obviously on the hardware side of it. But answering your question, this stock price doesn't affect me personally from any immediate financial sides. I don't have any common shares. I don't trade. So it doesn't affect me that way. What it does affect me is because I have a lot of interest in our investors making money.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I've developed relationships with different investors, and people have expectations of my availability, and they have expectations that we're going to do well, that I want to deliver on. So when stock goes down like this, my phone lights up, people reach out, they want answers as if I have answers, right? Like suddenly like I have answers. So it affects me that way. It just kind of puts additional workload on my schedule for the day. Is really the net effect. And I'll plow through all the contact attempts that people make with me, because that's kind of what I've committed to for as long as I can. There's some days when I'm up to 3, 4 in the morning in order to connect with people, but I like it. They like it. I think it strengthens the company in the long term. I want to chat with you about the video that I just watched. Your, I don't know what it was called, but you did a comparison between trading and investing. I really liked the advice that you gave traders.
Uh-huh.
It was really, 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 really good. I wish every trader, every investor could watch that video.
Oh, thank you.
I get so many questions that would be answered. So, yeah, that was a solid video. It was an easy watch. It had all the critical elements, right? And basically you're saying, have a strategy, right? You have a strategy before you buy anything, which everybody needs to. But in order to have a strategy, you have to have a basic understanding of how the market works.
A lot of manipulation.
A lot of not just manipulation, but just people just don't understand. They see a tweet and I don't know how many of my videos you've watched, but I've said this on so many of them. How could you buy something based on a tweet from an anonymous person? It makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll spend 3 months searching for cars, for a $500 a month payment, and then you'll drop $30,000 on tweet. It's like, it's wild. So Chan, tell me about you though. How long have you been trading? What are you doing? Are you working your chances, picks, puts and calls thing full time? Is that paying the bills?
Yeah, so I used to be a cop. I know you used to I watched your videos and your prior interviews. I know you had some type of background in law enforcement.
Yeah, which department did you work for?
NYPD.
No kidding, eh?
Yeah.
How many years?
4. I just resigned not too long ago because of all the politics going on.
Oh no, it's tough. It's a tough time to be a cop right now.
Yeah. So
Good for you, though, man. Good for you. That's really cool. Yeah, no. I spent a couple of years with LAPD as non-sworn,
mhm.
doing technology for them, but I was embedded. I was embedded in 5 divisions. I'd show up in the morning. I was like working like a regular shift, driving around the guys doing the whole thing. It was highlight of my career.
Yeah. And well, did that have anything to contribute to why you started? Because I know the company began in 2016, I believe, right?
Yeah. This was 03, 04, 05. I think that I was in the LAPD world. It absolutely did. This unit behind me, Rosa,
Uh-huh.
I had developed a very rudimentary, very, very, very rudimentary Rosa. And we had gone on Arresting Officer of the Year that year, Christine Labriola. She was on light duty. We're sitting in a surveillance room,
Mhm.
3,000 arrests in 6 months.
From surveillance.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was the
wow.
arresting officer.
Nice.
Is that crazy? So that was with stuff that was really rudimentary that absolutely developed into Rosa, absolutely developed into the platform. It was experience that was incredible experience. Not only that, but I don't know what kind of what your assignments were during your 4 years, but me, spending a couple years in cars, going on everything from search warrants, regular patrols, different types of responses and stuff, taught me a lot about crime, types of crime, opportunistic crime, but like all those different elements. So, yeah, absolutely invaluable training and so much fun with that group.
Do you plan to would that be like the first department you will reach out to if you do decide to work with law enforcement?
Oh, for sure.
LAPD?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have some questions actually about because what I used to do in NYPD was housing. So I worked in NYCHA. Yeah.
I wish I could share more, Chan. I wish I could share more. I can't. I can't. So
well, no, NYCHA was fun, and we have something called Viper cameras, and I know you guys have Eagle, which is similar to ShotSpotter, which is what we have in New York City. I was wondering, and I mean, this idea just came to my mind. Have you ever thought of doing something where like a camera would move to a certain direction if like a ShotSpotter activates and then like twist that way? Yeah, that would be super cool.
For sure. But like ShotSpotter, so you use them. ShotSpotter, the way that they triangulate and the way that they go back to the cloud is pretty sophisticated. From my perspective, with the Rosas and the RAD units that we have here, right? Like we're using Eagle to get a 100-foot diameter shot detection, pretty close. Mm-hmm. So we're going to know, right? Within that 100 feet, we've got it all under surveillance anyway. So I don't have to do the zoom, whereas ShotSpotter's got the longer range and you can triangulate through corners and streets and all that. Like our world is really tighter. So in housing, public housing here, it's like you got a few Roses around, you're gonna get them. You're gonna get them. But what's more important that you're gonna then get them, so to speak, you're gonna have that visual situational awareness before you roll up. You're going to be able to roll up properly. You're going to be able to roll up as safe as possible. You're going to kind of have a better idea of the threat as you're rolling up on your mobile phone or your computer in a way that's never been able to be delivered to law enforcement.
Yeah. So I do think robotics is going to be a huge thing, because one thing that mitigates risk for officers also prevents the death of another person, AKA the suspect. So I think, they already have robotic dogs, to go into places. And like we had the Breonna Taylor thing. I mean, if you sent like a robot in there, that whole situation would have been mitigated or whatever. Obviously I don't want to get too political, but I do think it's a great tool in the future to help both sides of the party. So your company, is it developing towards, I know that security robotics is only one subset of AITX, and I know AITX is way bigger than that. Like I said, I've watched all the interviews before, just so I try to at least not repetitively ask you the same questions. But I know that you are trying to, I asked you before if you were going into government contracts. You told me yes. Stay tuned. So is there anything you could tell us in regards to that?
The problem is that I have to walk a fine line between two elements. Number one, selective disclosure. Number two, expectation setting. So oftentimes when these questions are asked me, I respond with a stay tuned. So what that means is is it means that, obviously stay tuned, right? Because I have to speak very literally. But I'm either going to give two types of responses to those kinds of questions. I'm going to outright say, we're not pursuing it. We got nothing in the funnel. Nothing's going on. Because I don't want to create rumors. I don't want to create pumps or give keys for people to create pumps. If there is something going, or even if it's a thought in my head, then I'll give the stay tuned. Now it's like these interviews are not quite depositions, but given, my role as an officer in the company, that I can create liability with the wrong words. So
no, totally understandable. So in regards, so competitors, I know there's Nightscope, Cobalt Robotics, Robo Global, and SMP Robotics, and OT-Sol out in Singapore. So do you find any of these competitors as a threat? I know that I was on your tweet the other day about Nightscope. They're valuated at above 450 million currently, and AITX with today's drop is around 190, the market cap. So do you find any of these robotic companies as a threat, or how come you're not too worried about it, et cetera?
Yeah, I'm certainly not worried about it. I know SMP pretty well. We got started in business with SMP.
Okay.
And just going at the market a little bit differently, right? So that no real concerns with them. Cobalt's indoor, and they're really bringing advanced analytics into the office, which is really cool. I love what they're doing. Talk to those guys from time to time. Eric and Travis, good guys. Nightscope guys, I'm on different, committee with them right now, so we communicate every now and then, and they're going about things differently than we are. One of the key things is we've got a much more versatile line, than Nightscope. The other thing is the way that we manage our software is different. There's a lot of differences between us. I don't consider us competitors. Which confuses some people, but my point is, just because we may both have an outdoor roaming robot, they're doing things differently than we are with different purposes. We've got mobility advantages, time of travel advantages, a lot of different advantages. So either way, I don't consider them competition, right? Like we wrote a paper called the Autonomous Remote Services Manifesto, and it amazingly has been downloaded over 3,000 times, which for that kind of paper is a huge, huge, huge number. Like, it's a big number, Sometimes you write something, you're lucky 50 people read it. Like, we've had 3,000 downloads. That's a big deal. And that really kind of spells out how we look at the market, how we look at the fourth industrial revolution, how we're a part of that. And I think that thought leadership is a big part of what makes us different, and what really, gives us no competition at this point.
Okay. Yeah, 100% agree. I think a lot of people don't realize a lot of the time penny stocks are penny stocks because of the vision. It's not something that was there prior, kind of like EVs. NEO used to be a penny stock, and, it's huge now. So I think it's when you have a CEO that, visualizes the future, and the future becomes the reality, that's when the quote unquote penny stock, people look down on penny stocks. It's really just, you're viewing something way ahead of time. And when that part gets there, you're going to have that moment. So in regards to that, talking about valuation, do you plan to do, I know that in the George Sharp post, he spoke about a reverse split. I mean, people see it as a negative thing, but I do know that you guys plan to get into the NASDAQ. Do you think a reverse split is coming just to make the share price above that $4 requirement? Because I know you guys file under the NASDAQ requirements with the SEC already.
Full SEC reporting, yep.
Yeah. So
I want to roll back on one thing real quick on the penny stock thing, okay? There's no question. It's been proven by guys like George that there's a ton of scammy penny stocks out there, okay? People need to be super careful. The first thing I advise people is make sure they're full SEC reporting, right? Because that's going to give a reality check, an air of legitimacy to it. Alternating reporting companies can be sketchy. So people should be very careful, absolutely, when investing in penny stocks. I'm the first to say it. That said, there are some real companies in there, of course, like us. It's always somewhat irritating when people claim that we're not real or whatever. It's so ridiculous, right? But anyway, so people need to be careful when they're investing in penny stocks. The next thing that you're talking about is a couple themes that just continuously come up. It baffles me because I address it at least several times a week. The first is uplisting. Okay. Can we uplist to NASDAQ? Are there some things we need to do with the stock to do so? Certainly. Do I have any plans on doing anything in an uplist to NASDAQ in the immediate future? I do not. Could it happen next year? It could happen next year. That doesn't mean that I'm planning for it. Mm-hmm. I wish that people would, stop thinking that there's some holy grail around the corner that's going to make this thing go to $10 naturally, and that thing's going to be NASDAQ. I think that's fantasy land. Okay? It's not what's going to happen. So I wish people would start looking more at the vision of the company, how we're building, how we're communicating, what we're doing, those types of fundamental progress items. And then like you said in your video, right? Make a decision. Are you trading or are you investing? But no, so NASDAQ, I'm asked about it. It's nothing that I would ask people to think about or expect in the short term. On the reverse split, again, question regularly.
No, 100%.
It's so weird, right? Something that baffles me about investing or trading in the penny stocks is that people buy in because they believe in your future, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you have a down day or a red day or a few red days, they start looking through the paperwork and they start saying, oh man, you did a reverse split last year, so maybe you're going to do it again. And I'm like, we're looking forward. Like, this is about forward. This isn't about reverse. It's so baffling to me. But either way, I have no plans. The only discussions and thoughts that I have about reverse splits is when people ask me about them. And when I tell them I have no thoughts about reverse splits whatsoever. As I mentioned, I'm not thinking about NASDAQ right now. We have to see where we're at with revs and builds and financing and what's going to be best for the overall investor base as far as what happens when you do an uplist. So my focus is very clear. It's on business fundamentals now, today, building, growing, deploying, creating happy customers, reaching tipping points with dealers, reaching tipping points in different industries. That's where my focus is.
Okay. That's great. I know that you guys just moved into the new plant. How is that influencing you guys currently? Because I know that you guys have a lot of orders coming in, and I watched the prior interviews. You seem pretty confident in the K that you guys are going to report soon. Is that also coming out this month? And can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. Detroit facility. We've since named it the RAD Experience Center. Very fancy, right? The better description for it, right? It is a RAD Experience Center. We take possession on Saturday, May 1st. So it's really Monday, May 3rd is when I'll pick up the keys in the city of Detroit. Place is being repainted right now as we speak, which is really nice. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take possession of the place on May 3rd. It is a very, very big deal for us as a company. Number one, it is a RAD Inc. location. It's not it's owned, of course, by AITX, but it's RAD Inc., right? And I make that distinction because AITX has its fingers in various pies, so to speak. Certainly security is the overall security and facility management is the biggest slice of the pie, but there's other pieces as well that won't necessarily be housed at that location. What's it going to do for the business? Off the bat, it has created significant excitement inside the industry that there's going to be a site where we can take clients to that's going to be first class, world class, have all RAD devices live, have Romeos running around, have some little kind of cool areas where we're maybe demonstrating or testing some advanced technology that's either in development or close to being deployed or whatever. So that's created a lot of excitement from an internal team standpoint. the team is really happy that we're going to have this massive, test location, test site. It's going to be a lot easier for us to get a lot of work done. So it's a big deal for all of those reasons. The biggest piece probably is it's going to allow us to pump out several magnitudes of order of more product per month in anticipation of volume orders coming in and of the enormous number of potential sales in the funnel right now. We've got to be ahead of the game. In Irvine, we instituted a bunch of things like our quick ship program for roses. But I want to have more roses. I want to be able to promote that program more than we've been able to. Romeo production needs to be stepped up significantly. We could do it in the Detroit plant. Future products could be built there, right? So it's a real important piece of the puzzle for us. And it's ahead of schedule. I wasn't expecting to do it until next year.
Oh, nice. As of right now, is most of the machines, the robots, handmade? Do you plan to move towards machine?
Yeah, I mean, everything's handmade. When we move into Detroit, we're going to up our game from a production standpoint. One of the reasons we're moving to Detroit is because it's the Rust Belt. It's the capital of the Rust Belt. If you want to make something in America, you make it in Detroit, right? So I'm really excited about that. Already the candidates that we're interviewing for plant manager are taking a look at some of our production processes, and they're saying, hey, we can use this tool, that tool, we can do this, we can do that. So we're going to bring in as much automation into the process that we possibly can. I don't know what that looks like because I'm not a production guy, but I'll be supporting our efforts to gain efficiencies wherever we can. Yeah, I just don't know what that looks like yet.
Got it. Is it possible for you to, because every time, a headline comes out, it will say like, a certain company or something of that sort. Is that something you can't disclose as to what specific company it is?
I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. That's not a problem. How's the retention and churn on the product? I know you spoke a little about it in the prior interview. Is it possible for you to tell us the reasoning of the customer saying no to a resubscription or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, we most often and we've only really had churn in less than a handful of situations, right? I know all of the situations whenever we lose a device deployment. So, for example, we were performing as human guards at a facility, and it was a dark facility. It was a large commercial campus. I don't know, the tenant had gone out of business or left or whatever, and landlord had to take over. They didn't want to post up guards. So it was too big, it'd be too expensive for an empty facility. We put a few Scots out there. Customer took possession, year and a half later. Customer said, hey, we've got our own stuff, we got people, we don't need the units, right? So that contributes to churn. Another location, we had a unit contract. And by the way, these contracts are all minimum 12 months. So after that first 12 months, we've already made our money. We make our money somewhere between month 6 and 10, depending on the device and the deployment and where it's at in the production process and just a variety of factors. But by the time that first contract is over, we've already made net profit on the unit. But all these units, I think, were there for probably close to 2 years, year and a half to 2 years. So we did okay on them. Just new guy came in, new security director came in. Units out there, it's doing its thing. There's no problems. Security director's like, hey, I'm going to save the money and pull the unit, right? Not necessarily what we recommend because problems tend to come back, but it happens. So I would think that we're probably 95% plus in terms of retention and renewals.
That's pretty amazing. I know you spoke on in the prior interview again. You spoke on in regards to retention. It was damn, I thought I wrote it down, but okay. My next question was how long to recover production of the product, which you told me 6 to 10 months. I loved how you spoke about the mask example. So you have a product that basically could detect if someone's wearing a mask for medical facilities, etc. What can you elaborate what else this robot is capable of doing and how you plan to what the targets are for this specific robot. Is it hospitals? Is it campuses, etc.?
You're talking about Romeo for the big robot?
No, I don't think it was that one. It was I don't think it was that. Is that Romeo?
That's Romeo on the bottom there, yeah.
No, not the one on the bottom. It's kind of like that one in the back where it's like in an office, you put it indoors, and then basically they can identify you and see if you have a mask covering.
Oh, it's the unit behind us, Wally.
Yeah.
This is an old Wally.
Uh-huh.
I was using in the demo room, and it's a really old one. You can see it's got a key switch on it. Wallies are all electronically open and closed now, just like Scott's are, but this is an old unit. It's also, you can also tell part of it, the shell was milled in, oh my goodness, 4 letters. I forget the name of the plastic, but it was milled in a plastic, and the cover is a ABS plastic. We've gone to all ABS on it. But anyway, so it's an old unit. And I've since forgotten the question.
What is the target in terms of scalability? Is it hospitals, campuses? What other functions besides mask covering? Because that's a recently rather new thing where everyone has to wear a mask. Going forward, I don't know how often people have to wear masks after the vaccines. So where are you planning to target with this robot?
So this unit started out as a lobby receptionist / ambassador / security officer replacement. And it embodies everything from human detection, mask detection, sophisticated visitor management, employee access, connectivity to unlock doors, give information, basically do all of those functions that those jobs described would do. We want to do all of them autonomously through the unit, right? With human backup. Always, all of our units always have human backup, remote human backup. So when COVID came along, we did 2 things. Number 1, we developed our mask analytic. And number 2, we came out with our health screening module, which is called health screening option, Wally with health screening option. And, America's response to COVID was, divided and political and in some cases controversial. And what that did is that really, slowed down acceptance of innovation and investment, right? So we have one of the largest companies in the world using a dozen of these, or rather we're finishing 9 deployments for them. I think we've got 5 out there with them right now, plus or minus, and another 6 or 7 or whatever going out this month. So even though we hope COVID is coming to an end, they recognize the fact that they still want to put different measures in place. So it's very cool that they went forward with that, and we're very excited about that deployment. That's going to really give a big boost to Q1 revenues because they're paying for the units as CapEx as opposed to as OpEx.
Yeah, so I heard you spoke about it. You sold the unit outright instead of the subscription as a service. Did they choose to do so, or was it like an offer, or how do you plan? Is there still a subscription attached to it with the cloud services?
Yeah, so when you buy a unit from us, you get the first 12 months of cloud services included. And then you got to pay for months 13 and months 13 ongoing.
What's the subscription price?
I don't release that publicly.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, it's managed through the dealers. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Some of the Rad Army have found pricing or whatever, one way or another, figured out pricing. So I'm sure if you went into the Rad Discord, you could, or the AITX Discord, you could ask someone will tell you.
No, I have seen it. I just wanted to see if it's the right, because everything you see online, I'm a little skeptic of. So I'm just like, I just wanted to see if I could get the answer.
Smart, yeah.
The names of robots, I know that you named them as humans because they are human replacement. So with the people who attend the actual robot, you said each robot is in assistance with another human being. Is this person like AITX trained, or is it someone from the security, like the company itself that manages the robot, or how does that go?
So we don't do any security monitoring. We're going to do technical monitoring. We're going to make sure the system's working. Customer is going to work with us to help determine how they want to use the system. In some cases, the system will just be all autonomous. There won't be any remote backup. In some cases, a remote backup could be a company employee that's local or remote. In other cases, it could be a guarding company has a contract. In those cases, the guarding company likely brought us in. In other cases, it could be an unrelated third-party monitoring company. But a lot of different options, which is important because that makes us applicable to a lot of different types of customers.
Okay. With your robotics, I know that RAD currently is the main focus is security. And I know that you are branching out into other segments. Is that something you could tell us about? Because this is a business that we have to scale, right? I mean, scalability is a huge part in business. So how do you plan to scale it as, Apple, their audience is humongous, whereas a security company, you're providing to companies. Do you plan to do residentials, or how do you plan to scale the company up? Or what segments would that be?
Big question. First piece is that the hardware product line of RAD continues to evolve. So today, for a particular customer, particular large customer, I agreed to complete development on a new product that's going to join the family, and I need to come up with a clever name for it, of course. But it'll be some good name anyway. But so there's still a variety of hardware products that need to come out to fill out the RAD line. Because if RAD's mission is to bring as much autonomy to security and facility management as possible, we've got the line that you see, but there's other iterations of the line, maybe another, 2 to 5 products to finish off that line. That way we could continue to be a one-stop shop for as many different customers as we want. So there's going to be additional evolution on the stationary line. There's going to be additional evolution on the mobile line, right, led by Romeo. So over the next couple of years, from a scalability standpoint, on the sales side, we're going to see new products filling new niches and us strengthening our position in the market, making sure that we own it, making sure that there's a growing gap between us and anybody who wants to try to copy us, right? That's why we're so busy on development. We've got to have all this stuff so we always have competitive advantages across the board. Also, so that we can dictate the pricing in the marketplace and do what we need to do in order to create as many barriers to entry as we possibly can behind us, because I expect that, even though I don't see any right now. From an AITX, and that's from a RAD standpoint. Mm-hmm. From an AITX standpoint, I've started working on a new project, which is pretty interesting. And unfortunately, I can't talk about it, but it'll be, I'm happy to share that it'll be something that can rival the potential of RAD. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited to see market reaction when I come out with it. Timing on coming out with it is probably in the 2 to 5 month range. And that'll be pretty cool. So that'll be AITX's first foray into a non-security industry or a non-security. Yeah. So that'll be really cool. My wife is even pretty excited about it, which says something, because none of this other stuff excites her.
Yeah, I don't think they're as for a woman. I guess they don't really. They're not. Yeah. I am super into robots. I think they're so cool.
Love this we got coming up.
Do you also plan to get into residential or mostly commercial?
Yeah, we're really designed to be B2B. The RAD family of companies will definitely continue focus on B2B. If we do something in the residential work, because we're building all this tech, right? And we have to hit different price points in residential than we're able to hit in commercial. Right now in commercial, we can hit certain price points because there is no competition and because we offer such great value. But in my mind, I always understand that there will be competition. We do need to be aggressive if we're going to continue to be incumbent in this position in the B2B market. What that'll do is that'll provide a whole bunch of sunk costs in terms of technology development. And as a few other things happen, it's possible that we go into residential, but it's not something that is on the short term or 12-month roadmap at all. There's a few other things that need to happen on the technology side before I'm really interested in making those investments.
Got it. In your previous interview, you spoke about how robots can roam around like a, let's say, a department store and scan by sweeping and collect data for, like, let's say if at 3 p.m. More soda sells, at a specific aisle. Do you plan to capitalize on this data, as in like sell it back to the company, or is that included into the service? Because I see a huge potential. I mean, everything's about data, ads, and stuff like that. So if you're able to get these crucial data that, like, soda sells more at 3 p.m. or, the meat needs restoring or something like that. I mean, just a simple thing inside of a security robot as well. That, because now I see in Stop and Shop, you already have something going around for like spillage, so can you elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, I mean, the data that we collect, we're very clear that it's the customer's data. We're not going to sell them back their own data. We're not going to create complex contracts where, hey, we're only going to do this for you, but while we're on your property, we're going to collect all this data, but you don't own that data. I don't have any interest in creating those types of relationships with our customers. Customer graces us with an order. We're going to break our backs to fulfill that order and make them as happy as we possibly can. So that's really what the company attitude is. As we develop more ways to track data, like people counting, traffic flow, those things that we kind of have in process right now, I want to deliver that to the customer. I want our products to be so well loved by our customers. I want to be such a big part of their organization, that we never have any attrition, and that we just have growth. So that's really what my strategy is, as far as delivering advanced analytics to customers and potentially creating another stream of revenue out of it. We don't have to. I don't want to. It doesn't fit our culture.
Okay, no, I still think the data thing is so cool, and I think you'll find huge potential in that. I mean, that's something any like business person will want to know, is analytics, and I think it's so crucial.
Yeah, I agree, and we do deliver a bunch of analytics right now. We've got more coming, but I don't plan at this time to do any commercialization outside of delivering it to the customer who's renting the units.
Got it. The SECK.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know if you answered. Is it releasing this month?
I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully.
Okay, great.
It's people are like, oh, why don't you know? Why don't you know, Steve? You're supposed to know everything. Everything about.
I'm a shareholder, Steven.
Shareholder. Don't you understand? So downside of accessibility is that people often have unreasonable expectations as to what I know and what I do, right? And part of that is this culture of being a CEO. There's this unapproachability and this elitism, right? Which is totally phony and false. At the end of the day, we're just guys, you and me, we're just trying to get a job done, right? So I don't know everybody's name, shocking. And I don't spend my time putting robots together. I'd like to, I used to, but I don't. So just to give you some perspective on the K, when you have a full audit like we do, being a full SEC reporting company, we'll get hundreds of requests for backup. So they'll do revenue tests, they'll do expense tests, they'll do legal tests, they'll do dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of different tests, at least hundreds of tests on the expense side and dozens of tests on the employer side. It's a long process. And there's a lot of moving pieces to it. And then there's derivative calculation guys, and he's got to be up to date, and then right? So as a small company where I can't afford to have a dedicated staff do all of this in real time all the time, it becomes a process where my existing staff have to work it into their schedules. So guys that are buying stuff that get expense receipt backups, they got to find the time to get the receipts in. In larger companies, let's say, Coca-Cola and Apple and so forth, they've got buildings full of folks that are doing that, tracking that in real time. So when it's time to produce their case, they just press a couple buttons and boom, out it presses. They got auditors working in the building 12 months a year, keeping things up to date at the same time, so they could always be on time. it's a little bit more difficult for us. Over the last couple of years, I've changed out most of the vendors on the Pubco side to get to a point where I really like our team, and our auditors are incredibly thorough, maybe a little too thorough, take a lot of time to look at everything, but it's better for the investor, so I support it. But I know I saw some email traffic today about it. It seems like we're going well, or we're doing well on it, but I don't have an exact date. Initially, I want to get it out by the end of April, because we're going to show some good improvements, I believe, over Q3. And the Q1, the subsequent Q1 filing is going to be even better. So I want to get it in people's hands. Now, at the same time, people should remember we're an OTC stock, we're not going to go to $100 million in revenue on a K, right? So what I'm really looking forward to showing people is progressive improvement across all elements of the business. That's what I think people should be looking at, right? You're investing in early stage companies here, or early growth companies rather, in our case. So, expectations need to be understood.
Okay. How about I know with this Twitter situation, it has your head going crazy, but in regards to the liabilities, is that something that we're closing the gap on?
Are you talking about the derivative liabilities that George was talking about yesterday?
Yeah. If you don't want to talk about it.
I don't know how a guy of George's caliber tweets something like that, makes it look legit, and neglects a critical press release that happened 2 weeks after the close of those books, right? Crazy.
No, I know you're very passionate about the company, which is why I love it, because I know you're not just somebody just doing it for money. You actually love what you're doing. So,
yep, I do.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure. I mean, you started coding, I believe, at 9 or 10, right?
Yeah, no, it's been long days, my friend, long days. Listen, you're going to see a change to the derivative liability in the Q1, in the K, and it's going to be a result of that December 15th press release, where we negotiated away most of that toxic debt, right? Which obviously stabilized the stock situation and allowed us to go through some pretty substantial growth, which is fantastic. So in a situation like this, I have to wait for the K to be released, because number one, selective disclosure. Number two, I don't have exact data at my fingertips. I don't want to be wrong. So that's why I said to George yesterday, I said, listen, you gotta wait to see the K. He's like, well, what's happening with the debt? I'm like, I can't tell you right now. And George knows that. Again, he should know that. I'm sure he does. You gotta wait for the K. So in the K, I absolutely expect to see great improvements over Q3. And that's what I can ask. Is there going to be debt? Of course there's going to be debt.
I mean, every company has.
Every company has debt, right? So again, it's like, hey, how do you want to position a company? You want to find something to bash us about? You will find a lot to bash us about. I can find anything in any company to bash about, right? Like literally anything. It's
like, easy. Do you have masks for your robots?
Right. But like you can do character assassination. You can find some little, thing that happened in the past that was negative, right? There's a million things you can do. So it's certainly easy to do that. Where people benefit from is when they, understand, hey, you got a guy like Steve who hasn't taken any money from the company yet. I will this fiscal year. I want to make that clear. It's been 5 years. I think I've earned it. Hey, you've got your portfolio, and in your portfolio, hopefully we go back to the start of our conversation. You have a trading strategy, and you've got budgets assigned to different types of risk categories, and you make your decisions accordingly. So, are we Coca-Cola? No. Have some people made some big money on us? Yep. Are they going to again? I sure hope so, especially at these trading levels. But anything is possible. I don't know why the stock has gone down. I'm asked that question all the time. Why does stock go down? You must know. Must be something happening. You must be diluting. Number one, I don't know. Number two, I have no shares to dilute. So it's like over and over and over again. It's the same thing, which again brings me back to the fact that I want to promote your first video, which is, hey, be careful, be cautious, know what you're doing, have a strategy, be smart about it. I want people to be smart about it. I put out all this information all the time because I want them to be informed. I don't want uninformed. I don't want people investing off of some random tweet that they saw somewhere at like midnight. Oh, I'll put $5,000 in, 10 grand. I don't want that. I want people to understand our mission and to invest in us. And people who choose to trade us, either, in minutes, hours, or days, I'm happy with them too. Great, perfect, do it. But please, understand I'm not pulling some lever trying to take everybody's money by having stock go down. It's the exact opposite. I'm trying to push every lever I can to have stock go up.
No, of course. I mean, which CEO will want? I mean, people got to understand that the stock price doesn't always correlate with the company. I mean, Jeff Bezos said it himself. He's seen like his stock tank while his revenue was growing substantially year over year. So it's unpredictable. I mean, like I said, like you said, the investment versus trading thing, I added personally myself today. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take my money.
I'm glad to hear that. And he's right. I mean, we're going to have our best, let me rephrase. We're probably going to have our best revenue month ever this month, ever. I mean, big numbers for us, big numbers. And yet our stock has taken the biggest crap that we've taken, right? So it's crazy. There's no correlation. What I would like, again, is educated investors who understand what you're sharing, what I'm sharing, and put a little bit more time into your decision to trade or invest before you do it. That's what I ask.
Great. Sorry to be moving around topics. I know we have 15 minutes left, so I'm going to try to finish this up. For Arrow, in your previous interview, I heard something about the delayed production. Is it canceled or is it delayed?
Yeah, it's delayed. So, I mean, I don't want to be exact on these numbers because I don't have them at hand, but we've gone from 3 engineers in Canada to 18 over the course of the last 12 months, right? Mm-hmm. And I got to chase the opportunity. So a lot of these guys are doing advanced perception analytics and stuff like that, stuff that hasn't been released yet. And the drone world has kind of changed rapidly with some, lightening up by the FCC at the end of last year, which has been really nice. But a lot of that is going to be worked on once we take possession of the new facility. We have to be able to fly drones in a safe environment. In order to have that, we have to have a safe environment, and we'll have that in Detroit at the RAD Experience Center. But that is also going to open up new lines of business for us as well. So is Arrow dead? Arrow's far from dead. Arrow is building a bit of a couple different business case studies around some advanced functionality that Arrow can do outside of the security world as well and under the AITX umbrella. So this stuff is kind of further down the line. It's harder to staff drone development than you might think. Few people, tough to find. So I haven't really it's not that I haven't been able to find people, I just haven't really tried. So that's just kind of where we're at with it. But it's a very exciting area of business for us. And again, later this year, I'll probably be releasing another subsidiary that's going to revolve around Arrow in a non-security application.
Sweet. Talking about Canada, how big are you going international?
So Canada is absolutely our research and development headquarters, right? So all of our legit engineers, because engineers is like a word people label themselves. I'm an engineer, right? I'm talking about engineers that have engineering degrees in either mechatronics, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, software engineering of different disciplines and so forth. So we've been hiring those people in Canada for a variety of different reasons, but that group is going to, be over 100 people, I hope, within a couple of years. Absolutely.
As for your security devices, are you going international?
We are international right now. We have a ROSA. We have the Civitas ROSA deployed at a large international manufacturing company in Romania right now. So Civitas went ahead and deployed that for those guys. It's very exciting. We're already talking about multiple orders coming out of that. So it's really exciting that we hooked up with those people and that they're having some early success. So if we keep our eyes tuned and our fingers crossed, we should have some nice press releases coming internationally, from Romania at least. Canada, we have various sales efforts happening in Canada. Nothing has really hit traction yet like it has in the States. We get some bites. We've got some bites out of the UK right now that one of our guys is working, and I think I've got some guys out of Turkey and Poland, or two other countries that are reaching out to us. But right now, my concentration is on our friends in Romania, definitely spending some time with the UK guys, and otherwise concentrating on the United States for deployments, Canada for development.
Gotcha. Sweet. What do you think is the most scalable aspect of your company? Because I know you have, like, do you feel like the security robotics, the subscription as a service, like, do you also plan to sell maybe technology to competitors possibly, or?
Yeah, we do. There's a separate subsidiary that's going to be working on that over the course of this year. So, what we're really aiming to be is the platform upon which these different types of devices run, because of how we operate our cloud, because of how we operate our software, because of how we deliver it to customers, because of how we really tune it and dial it in a really simple way. So, part of my perspective is these devices and stuff are nice, they're fun, they're cool, but they're kind of like the signature piece opening up the market. I really want to support other people. Other people can do a better job than us on these devices. They can. We got to enable them with the tools, and I plan to do that. I want to do that next year for them.
So when you were 10 years old, was it security robotics that you were interested in, or it was like coding in general?
Yeah, I mean, my dad got me a VIC-20, which I don't know if anybody even knows. It was the precursor to the Commodore 64, which you may have heard about. Okay, wow.
What is that?
Gray, right? Wow. I know. The VIC-20 had 20K of memory.
Oh, okay. I get it now. Like compared to like our gigabytes and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
20K. And the Commodore 64, of course, had 64K. So I was fascinated by the ability in coding to create, and the satisfaction and that those rewards that you get when you create something. That was really what the attraction of it was to me. Like, I could be in my own little world, create whatever I wanted to create. And I found it fascinating, and I still do. So that was my initial attraction to it. Really, security robots kind of fused after my, early work on artificial intelligence, or studies in artificial intelligence, combined with some time I spent with NVIDIA, understanding that we could do advanced analytics on a low power mobile device. And that's when, because I'd been in security for 15, 20 years by then, that's when I kind of knew that I could fuse it. I didn't even know that other people were thinking about it. In my mind, it had just developed as natural outcropping of my thoughts and experience. And now we're here.
Beautiful. I just thought of it. The Romeo, I know one of our first encounter was how would Romeo handle winter conditions?
Sure.
Yeah, can you go in on that?
Yeah. Romeo designed, between me sitting in California, my industrial designer who's out of Washington State, and my Canadian mechanical engineers. So that's kind of the team that put Romeo together. Like a lot of the RAD devices, it's function first and form second. Romeo, and I've got a poster of Romeo up on the wall here, which is why I'm looking at it. But Romeo was a device that I knew needed to be, better looking than, say, Wally, which is, arguably not great looking, right? Like, we really did function first on a lot of our devices until perhaps Scott 2.0 came out, which looks much nicer. But I wanted Romeo to look nicer than the usual piece, but it had to have the functionality. So, I've even forgotten the question, Chan.
Winter conditions.
So Romeo had to be able to be incredibly rugged, right? Because Romeo's initial design criteria is about using it to secure American infrastructure, remote areas, areas difficult to staff, areas where it's not cost effective to put human beings, right? Like that was my initial idea for RAD, and that's where Romeo's really seeks to fulfill it. Now that's a big lift. There's a lot of requirements getting on utility sites and water sites from a security standpoint for obvious reasons. And we've got some really strong cyber announcements coming out this year as well, which is going to put us one step closer to executing that those deployments and engagements for Romeo. In the meantime, I guess that we did design it and make it look attractive because it's corporate America that is like, wow, we want some of those. We want them in our parking lots. We want to do this with them. We want to do that with them. And I'm like, great, let's do it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny how when you put something in the market, sometimes it ends up in a different area than you originally expected.
Gotcha. We have to I know we have 5 minutes left. Are you okay with? I just have some questions I want to ask, but
let's keep going, Chan. Let's keep going. I'm all yours.
Thank you. Okay, great. So the DoD contract, that was like the second tweet that we met on. Is there something is this something you could speak about, or is this something you're looking into?
I do have a hard stop at 3. Listen, I certainly didn't say there was DoD contract. I said that there was, we were doing something DoD adjacent, or I forget the exact language that I used, right? It's under NDA. We have a couple ROSAs on the production and deployment list that, like I said, are going to go into this DoD adjacent application. And as I'm just going to check this, we got a few extra minutes. So I know, investors look at certain customers, they look for Fortune 100 names like you did, and they want to know if you're associated with the DoD because, they know, or they believe they know that one big order can send it into the stratosphere and so forth. Right? I understand the motivation for asking the question. All right.
No, not for me. No, I could really, I don't really look at the share price too much. I mean, I look at it just because I want to know what's going on. I mean, the move down today, I know it's related to the tweet, but like I said, I don't care.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But, I'm not talking about the DoD stuff because I don't know where it's going to go. I'm not necessarily convinced we're absolutely the right application for what they want us to do. So, when I get excited about things, or I think things are going to mature, or they have matured into an order or something exciting, then I'm going to talk about it. I'm not there yet on anything that we're doing DoD adjacent yet.
Got it. One of our members asked you, what are you most proud of achieving since being CEO of AITX? I guess, yeah.
I love the team and community that we've built. That's absolutely my proudest accomplishment. We've taken some incredible team members, and they've blossomed under RAD, made great contributions, advanced their careers, fulfilled their potential, or on their way to fulfilling their potential. So I love seeing that human development piece as probably my greatest, the piece that I would feel greatest pride about would be the personal development of the team. Other things that have been highlights for me is building this RAD Army community. It's been really, really cool to create something, put it out there, have people connect with it, have customers connect with it. I know it's a prideful thing, but it's cool nonetheless that I can do stuff that people like. So I appreciate that, and I like that. And then in general, I mean, I feel that this role is really what I've worked my whole life for. I've had near close roles and smaller roles in the same area. But I think I got a knack for it. I think I'm in the right place as far as my career and skill set goes. So that pleases me as well. Thanks for asking. It's a good question.
Yeah, Avian asked that. We have another question from Rocket Man. I guess he wants it to fly. But he's asking, do you have any issues or delays with obtaining semiconductors for circuit assembly for RAD robots and devices? Are there any plans to acquire 3D printers to produce or assemble circuit boards?
Yeah, good question. So We have not had any chip problems yet. That said, I went ahead and ordered another 75 of the servers that most of the devices use, just preemptively type thing, and I'll probably keep stocking up on it. And I kind of almost wonder if any shortages that are happening are because rumors started. So guys like me are now stocking up and disrupting the supply chain, right? So it's possible that it's self-inflicted due to the rumors, but haven't experienced anything yet. The second part of Rocket Man's question was
3D printers. Do you plan to get acquire 3D printers to produce or assemble circuit boards for RAD products?
We've got a great manufacturer in Waterloo, Canada that prints our custom circuit boards right now. I'm really happy with them. They're fast, they're well priced. I don't see any need whatsoever at the volumes that we have to bring any of that in-house. So no immediate plans to build our circuit boards in-house. The other piece of this is, hold on, I'm going to let these guys know I'm going to be a few minutes late because one of the key guys is going to be late. Okay. The other piece of the 3D printers is that, we talk a lot about having 3D printers to produce like small little pieces here and there when we're building something and we need something, right? And there's some benefits to that, but my point always is design the thing right from the start, right? So we should be like Ford, right? You don't see 3D printers on the Ford floor like saying, hey, Jim, I need a new one of these things, right? Like that doesn't happen. We should be the same way. So using a 3D printer for prototyping, testing, those types of applications, absolutely. But in production, it's still more efficient to either do sand casting or straight mill and mill different pieces and glue them together like we're doing right now. Cool question.
All right. Well, I know you got to go. Last question. Which is the best performing robot in regards to revenue?
I would say Wally is the most. So for example, you can read the question two ways, right? Number one is which of the 5 production lines is producing the most revenue? So the answer to that question is Wally. On the other side, you can answer the question and say, which is the greatest number of units deployed, right? Which obviously relates to revenue as well or potential. And for that number, it's Rosa. So Wally's producing the most money. Rosa's producing the most out the door. Boom, 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 boom.
Gotcha. Well, it's understandable because Romeo, I think it's more of the future.
Yeah. Romeo will definitely be the largest revenue producer. I'm certain about it by sometime next year. There's no question about it because the numbers are just much bigger on Romeo. But it could be close. It could be close. If we have 500, 1,000 Rosas out there, Rosa might still be Rosa might take the lead on revenue production. I don't know. We'll see. It's a nice little race.
All right. Well, thank you, Rad Army. Thank you, Steve. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Chan. Everything. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye.